Last thing the president would want while he's there is for Israel to launch a ground offensive without the humanitarian aid in place. And this attack tonight just adds another layer. Let's speak then to the Middle East analyst and senior fellow at Johns Hopkins School for Advanced International Studies, Laura Blumenfeld. Laura, thank you very much for coming on. We've heard the reaction from the Palestinians. We've heard the reaction from the Israeli government. Has there been any reaction from the White House?
Well, I can tell you one thing is clear, that there's tremendous trauma. And sitting here in Washington, I can also tell you that President Biden is good at grief. Regardless of who's responsible, he connects to grief and suffering on an intimate, visceral level because of the own suffering he's experienced in his life. For him and for the White House, this moment is all about leadership. I mean, it's a big and risky move when the boots on the ground in a war zone belong to the commander-in-chief. So what is he doing? I would say he's taking a now and later approach. He's coming to say stop the war, and he's also trying to seed the region for peace later.
You think he's coming to say stop the war?
Well, he's coming to say limit the war. But by stop the war, I mean, yes, he's coming to say, Israel, we've got your back. But he's whispering quite loudly in their ears, limit the suffering, limit increase aid to the Palestinians. So he's there to deter and to prevent a wider war from escalating.
Well, if he's intent on it not escalating, he'll be pretty alarmed by the pictures we're looking at in screen of Ramallah tonight in the West Bank. We've heard angry statements from the Jordanian king, from the Egyptian president. We've already had plenty of saber rattling from the Iranian foreign minister. Does this stoke the fire further? And will there be concern in Washington tonight that the conflict is about to spread?
Absolutely. There's tremendous concern. The stakes couldn't be higher. But I think for Biden, his approach is go big and go home. He's coming to the Holy Land. This is an area that, he's been visiting for many, many decades of his life. He's you can see it in the intensity around his eyes when he's been talking for the last 10 days since the crisis started. I think he's coming really as a person committed to the region, saying, we've seen an eye for an eye. We've seen turn the other cheek. I'm offering a third way. Transformation. The White House goals over the past administration have been for regional cooperation and integration. And this isn't the way they thought that they would get there. It is almost, I would call it a bloody referendum on the Abraham Accords. And the swing states are the Arab nations. He's really looking to Arab partners to pull through this and bring everybody to a more positive conclusion.
He certainly has personal relationships with these people. He's had 30, 40 years in the Senate, in the Foreign Relations Committee. He's got to know them as the vice president and, of course, while serving as president. Showing up counts. Nothing really replaces face-to-face diplomacy, but it is not a particularly cosy relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu. Can he trust him?
No, I mean, they're odd buddies to be in a foxhole. I was thinking about it. He's sort of like Uncle Joe, and then there's these three combat bros. It's not just Netanyahu, right? It's Benny Gantz, who's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and Gallant, the defense minister, who is, I've interviewed him. I mean, he's physically imposing. That said, Iran is really, really a priority. And there's the wider world that China and Russia are watching. I don't know if you saw pictures of Putin in Beijing looking at Xi. They looked like they were ready to feed each other wedding cake. So this is bigger than the region. It's more than just, Biden and Netanyahu. This is big. We
should also remember that when you talk about Russia, China, obviously there is a connection with Iran as well. Do you think they're in communication with Tehran, and might they be behind some of the statements that we've heard?
Well, statements. I mean, for years we've been hearing from the White House, all options are on the table. You might notice that the message is whittled down to one word: don't. And so when they put out messages like, make no mistake, we will take action, what they're trying to say is we will match words with deeds this time. Because we saw in previous administrations, like when President Assad gassed his own civilians during the Obama presidency, we failed to take action. I think part of this is an opportunity for the United States to make up for mistakes they've made in the past, whether it was regime change in Iraq, a chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I think Biden is coming to the Middle East to say, we're going to get this right.
Laura Blumenfeld, good to talk to you this evening. Thank you for coming on the program.